My name is James Peters, and I've put together this program to teach all of you a little bit about entrepreneurship. It's a great word, an entrepreneur. That's in fact what I am. I am an entrepreneur. It sounds quite exciting, doesn't it? What does it really mean? Well, let's go to the computer. Webster's Dictionary defines an entrepreneur as one who organizes, manages, and assumes the risk of a business or enterprise. Ooh, sounds like fun. What does it really mean? It really means that I have my own company and that I work for myself, instead of working for somebody else. Now, there's nothing wrong with working for somebody else. It can give you a very nice life. You can go to work Monday to Friday or whenever they say. A lot of companies now ask you to work on the weekends as well. And you can make less money than the person that owns the company because that's just how it's going to be structured. So I was looking and thinking, you know, wouldn't it be good if I was the guy at the top? And well, here we are. I have a company. So what I'm going to try and do over the next few weeks is give you a little bit of knowledge about what it really takes to become an entrepreneur and what are some of the steps that you actually need to take and go through. We're going to be looking at things like what are some of the really basic things you need to do to set up a business, what a business plan is, what marketing is, what do you do with finances when you don't have any money, what networking it is, and how to put it all together and do a little bit of sales and actually make some money. And through this process, we're actually going to give you the opportunity to create your own business. And you and your team or your company will actually get to make all the decisions that affect that business. And we're going to go about by creating a social enterprise business for each group. Social enterprise, another great word that I'm sure you've heard a lot of. And it's basically when a company does work and doesn't worry so much about getting themselves rich as they do about making sure that an organization can actually do well in its own right. So a lot of charity groups, there's a good restaurant, Jamie Oliver's Restaurant 15, that actually teaches lots of young kids, or not young kids, but I guess teenagers, how to cook and how that can become a livelihood for them. And what we're actually going to do here is organize a bit of a fundraiser and go through all the steps of setting up a company at the same time. The way we're basically going to do this is that there are going to be 6 video sessions just like this one, and they're going to be run as meetings. Now, business meetings are a very important thing in life. They're very difficult to get, I'll tell you that right now, and when you do, you really need to make the most of it. So every meeting, I expect everybody to have pen and paper ready to go so that you can make notes, and then after each meeting, I'll have a printout that'll be ready for you so you can continue the work and complete each task each week. Saying that all, in your own company, there's nobody looking over your shoulder most of the time. So nobody is holding you responsible for doing any of this. This is all on your own accord. What do I think you're going to get out of it? Well, my hope is that you'll get a little bit of knowledge about what it really takes to be an entrepreneur. And maybe some of you, in fact, will decide to go that route. It's not everybody that has to have a regular job Monday to Friday. You know, it's funny, I was actually just reading a story about a young man in the United States who started a company at the age of 10. He developed a bunch of toys that you could play with in the pool and underwater when you're in the ocean. And at the age of 13, he sold his company for about $45 million. So, you know, age isn't an excuse. Knowledge is always a good excuse. So hopefully we're going to help bridge some of that over the next few weeks so that you have some more knowledge. And then pretty much it's in your own hands. I hope that everybody takes this quite seriously and that you take the effort to learn some of this information. And you'll be able to put it to good use. Whether you go into entrepreneurship or not, a lot of the skills that we're going to go over will serve you well in all sorts of areas of your life. So, that being said, I'll give you a second to grab all your paper and pen so that we can get started with the first meeting right away. We'll see you in a second. Alright, let's get straight to work. This is session 1 meeting. We're basically talking about some of the building basics that you need to start a business. We're going to look at 3 things today. We're going to look at naming your company. We're going to look at what cause you want to support in your campaign. And we're also going to look a little bit about leadership roles over the duration of the project. If you're not sitting in your groups already, please get together with your group really quickly before we start this meeting officially. And it starts now. So, what we are going to look at first is the company name. Now, there's a gentleman by the name of Shakespeare. I'm sure you've heard of him. And he has a little play called Romeo and Juliet where there's a great line. It says, "What is in a name that which we can call a rose?" by any other name would smell as sweet. Thank you very much. What is Shakespeare saying? Basically what he's saying is that a name doesn't really mean that much. And I tend to agree with him for most company situations. I mean, if you look at the company Coke, if it was called Polka Dots, we wouldn't like it any less. We would just drink polka dots. It really doesn't mean much. That being said, there are a couple things that you can use to help people remember your name a little bit, which is probably the more important thing, as well as finding a way to identify your company amongst all the other companies. Sort of 3 ideas. The first being that you can make the name very, very simple. There are a couple of retailers that you probably know, one of them called Gap, another one called Next. You know, very, very simple words that people just have a tendency to remember. The next thing you could do is definitely come up with a little more entertaining name. I know there's a woman's retailer by the name of Jigsaw. I just like saying that word. I think it definitely sticks in your head. And the last sort of route you could take for coming up with a company name would be to find a name that is very practical. I know there's a sporting goods shop called Foot Locker, which predominantly sells sports shoes. The company name that I have is called the Triangle Card. Funny enough, that's the main product that we sell. So, you know, those are sort of 3 basic ideas. You can either keep it really simple, you can keep it a little bit funny, or just have to deal directly with your product. And that should make it easy for people to remember. So, you guys can come up with any name that you would like. The next thing we're going to talk about is the cause that you're going to be doing some fundraising for, and in fact, creating a social enterprise company based around. Again, this is completely up to you. My advice would be to find something that you're somewhat passionate about, because that makes the work a lot more fun. I know for myself, I have asthma, and you know, you better believe that if I can do anything for asthma research or lung disease in general, I'm definitely going to be doing that sort of work. And you know what? It's just nice to be able to give back a little bit to the community in the areas that you need. Now, if you're kind of stuck, you can also take a look around your school and see if there's maybe any areas in your school that need some help. I don't know if you're big football fans or you want to support maybe your football team at school, or maybe help out some development of new computers or library or something to that effect. But completely in your control again, but find something that your group is passionate about and wants to work towards, and that'll go a long way in keeping up the motivation. The last thing we're going to talk about is just assigning a little bit of leadership roles to everybody. Everybody should be in groups of 6, and basically we have broken our project down into 6 key categories, so that way everybody can take responsibility for one area. And in fact, every week we'll ask that there be a new chair for the meeting, so once the video is done, that person can just sort of guide the group through the rest of the handout and make sure that all the work gets completed every time. It's your project, guys. This is session 1. Let's get to work, and I'll see you next session.